You cannot use the local vernacular language, the way you speak your mother tongue and the way you write or build dialogue in the examination is totally different. No issues. You can walk in. I'm very happy to have the latecomers. You're not just going to have a face-to-face conversation. You can have a conversation or dialogue building while speaking over the phone too. Hello, hi, namaste and welcome to Vidhyaashram, Temple of Excellence. I am Nanda Kishore, Faculty of English in Vidhyaashram, Mysuru. In my previous session, I had discussed about a job application which will be asked for 5 marks in your public examination. In today's session, I will be discussing about dialogue writing. What is this dialogue writing? Do you expect a question in your examination? And for how many marks you can expect this question in your examination? All these questions will be answered in today's session. So let's start with dialogue writing. In first PUC, you have already faced this question and you have attempted this question, this topic for 5 or 6 marks in your final examination. But I will be discussing about dialogue writing in order to build your communication and in order to strengthen your verbal language. So what is this language function and what is this dialogue writing? Why is it so important in your life? Let's see it in today's session. Language function. One should know about language function. What is this language function? In simple terms, when you communicate with other person or when you want to reach your ideas in the form of verbal communication, and if you want to seek information, if you want to give away the information, you will be using verbal or language in order to share your ideas. And what is this function? How do you use this function? What is this function of language? You speak something to somebody, and whatever you speak is not meaningful, or if the other person or the listener is not able to understand what you are speaking, then the language function has failed. Keep this in mind. Language has got some function to perform, to do. What is that? How do you perform? How does it function? And how well should you frame the sentence while you want to share or to reach the ideas to listeners? One should be aware that language is used to perform different functions, oral or written forms like asking for information, apologizing, greeting, and so on. So these aspects or concepts are very important. As I read here, one should be aware that language is used to perform different functions. What is this different function? Now let me just enact and show something to you people. If I don't open my mouth, if I'm not speaking or if I'm not saying anything orally, but I'm performing my action, what am I doing? I'm performing an action, and I'm sure with this action, you can just guess and you can be sure what I'm trying to reach or what I'm trying to ask you. Observe my actions. What am I doing here? With the first action, I just said, so using this action, I'm trying to communicate with the person or the listeners whether you had your lunch, whether you ate something. Did you eat something? Eating. I'm sure this means eating. I don't know what other function it performs with this sign, but I'm sure in general, this means whether you ate something or whether you want to eat something. So this means, did you sleep well? You want to sleep? So this means home. Do you want to go home? Home? Yeah? Come. Go. Right? I am not speaking and I didn't speak anything. With the sign language, as I told, language function, even the sign language has got a function. That is the reason we write orally or in written forms. I neither wrote nor I am speaking, but I am using the sign language. Now, do you think that even sign language has got something to perform? Now, do you know that even the sign language has a function to perform? It does. It has. It has to perform. It is not just oral or written. Even the sign language has got something to perform and it has its own function. And without using your words, by oral or written form, you can extract the information and you can give away the information. And why do we use oral language? And why do we use sign language? Remember, there are deaf and dumb people. They are taught, they communicate in their daily lives using sign languages. So this means happy. They are clapping. They are very happy. You need to know all of these. And each and every sign language and each and every language has its own function. Now we are talking about dialogue writing. Let me just limit myself to dialogue writing now. While writing, or you orally speak and you want to exchange ideas, or you want to ask information, or you want to apologize, or you want to greet somebody, and so on. There are a lot of functions. This is very important in order to develop a strong communication. Why is it so important? Why am I stressing so much on dialogue writing? It's because most of our students, most of the people, they don't know how to begin the conversation. Let me just give you an instance. Imagine one fine day you will get a job and you are working under some boss, and you want to go and meet your boss and you want to just share your ideas, or you want to greet him, or you want to thank him, or you want to apologize him. Whatever it might be, the language function is very important. It is very vital when you start the conversation. Most of the people, most of the students, they don't know how to start the conversation. They straight away go. If they are very happy, thank you, goodbye. You cannot say that. If you want to be sorry to somebody, I am sorry, just forgive me, walk away. No, it is not possible. You need to be polite. While you are apologizing, you need to be very humble. While you are thanking, you need to be very happy. You need to know the language function. If you are just walking up to the boss and you want to apologize him, you cannot just go to the boss, hey boss, I am sorry. I cannot be very sorry from now on, but I am sorry now. You cannot just go on blabbering something. And your body language function will also mold your body language. That is very important. Most of you, it depends on the context here. Let me just explain what I meant. Note that to construct a dialogue, you must first try to find out the relationship. As I told you, the relationship. You being the employee, when you go to the employer, you need to mind your body language and your tone and your words carefully while you're talking to your boss. Between the speakers, you are the speaker and the listener is your boss. You must also be aware of the context of the dialogue. As I told you, while you're talking to your boss, you need to know how well you should behave and what are the words that you are going to use. Let me just give you an example. Let us assume that you go to the boss and you want to be sorry. I'm just enacting it here. Your boss is sitting in the chamber. You walk up to the chamber and you straight away can't barge in, pushing the door as if you own the company, as if your boss is nobody to you. You need to just tap the door, okay? But this is just, I'm just enacting it. You need to tap the door. I'm just enacting it. Tap the door. He just says, come in. And just because he says come in, just don't walk in. Excuse me, sir, may I come in? And he says, yes, come in. How does he respond? Yes, come in, please. Yes. And you have done something wrong yesterday or previous days and you want to be very sorry to your boss. Being the speaker, you are saying, I beg your pardon, sir. Kindly forgive the mistake I have committed. If your boss is kind enough, you might say, that is okay. I believe you are a newcomer, or I believe you have lot of exposure to correct your mistakes. I hope you will not repeat the mistakes. There is a complete conversation, the complete dialogue. Your boss is just because a boss, he cannot just yell at you. I know there are a few people, they are very bad. They just scream out the roof. I know that. But while writing, while building a conversation, you should expect that your boss is going to be very soft. Your boss is going to be very kind. And especially when I say build a conversation, when I say know the relationship between the speakers, you should limit yourself for the examination point of view. You should presume, you should assume that your boss is going to be very kind and humane. You cannot say, just because you hate somebody, you cannot say that he spoke like that. He spoke in a rude tone. No, you cannot do that. You have to just assume, you need to just predict yourself that he will speak in a soft tone. That's how you predict and that's how you build your own conversation. You should just be the speaker, you should just be the listener, you should be everybody. You are the sole character for two characters here. You are the only performer. In the examination, you sit, you read the dialogue and you write it. Purpose of dialogue. What is the purpose? The purpose of the dialogue is important to generate appropriate dialogue. As I told you, appropriate dialogue is very important. Let me just give you one more example with this context. What is that? You meet a friend. When I say friend, he is a very close friend of yours. Just because he is a very close friend of yours, you cannot say, hey buddy, I'm gonna come home tomorrow. And he replies, no issues at all, I don't have to invite you. But come on now, this is not informal. You need to know which is informal and which is formal. And moreover, while performing or while developing a dialogue, you should be very thorough, very careful about how well you build the dialogue. It should be formal, and even if it is informal, it should be limited to its boundary. You cannot use the local vernacular language, the way you speak your mother tongue and the way you write or build dialogue in the examination is totally different. Don't bring in lot of vernacular words while writing your examination. You cannot say, hey maga, hey macha, you cannot do that. Are yara, come, go. No, you cannot do that because it is not in English. That's exactly what I meant. You cannot use vernacular language or local words while building the conversation. Don't ever use it. Though you are assuming or presuming that you are talking to your friend, the question might be the conversation between two friends, but you cannot build the conversation in that way. Keep this in mind. Find out if the dialogue should include formal or informal. As I told you, the dialogue could be both formal and informal. Just because I told you informal, you cannot just use local languages. This is very important from the examination point of view, or it is important from the written point of view. I know you are in second year and this is the second year topic. You have already learned this in your first PUC and you have just attempted this question and you have come to second PUC. But in your life, if you ever get a chance to build a conversation or to develop a dialogue, you need to be very careful with whom you are talking and with whom you are developing the dialogue with. Formal or informal expressions. A dialogue begins with a greeting. This is very important. A dialogue begins with greeting and ends with leave taking. And most of you might ask me, sir, what if we don't begin with greeting and leave taking? No problem. But remember, you cannot get into the answer sheet. You cannot just dump yourself into the answer sheet. You cannot just wave to the evaluator and just tell him, sir, I am here on the answer script. I am going to perform my performance today and you need to give me the marks according to my performance. No, you cannot do that. It could be anything, but be careful. Solve the question. As I told you, let us see how well the conversation begins and how to wind the conversation. So this is the conversation that is being built between two people, and the first one is Professor Omkar wants to buy a new computer for his personal use. He consults Mr. Raju, a computer engineer. So Omkar, a professor, he wants to buy the computer and he goes and meets and consults Mr. Raju, who is a computer engineer. So how will the conversation begin? Omkar: good evening, Mr. Raju. So what is he doing here? He is greeting. Good evening, Mr. Raju. Raju: hello, professor. I'm seeing you after a long time. How are you? Introducing or introduction, or maybe inquiring, or maybe greeting the same way, is giving introduction here. Hello, professor. I'm seeing you after a long time. How are you? Now, he greeted him, good evening, Mr. Raju. In response, he says, hello, professor. You can also write, good evening, Mr. Professor, or good evening, Professor Raju. How are you? I'm seeing you after a long time. How are you? So, what will be the next conversation? What do you think will be the next conversation for the last word here? Now, let us see that. Omkar: I am fine. Thank you. This is a formal word, a pure formal. This is a formal word and a formal way of thanking somebody just because they are concerned about our health. How are we? Omkar says fine, or I am fine, I am doing well. I am not saying just because the words are put up on the board, that doesn't mean you have to use the same word. You can just improvise your own answer. I am doing well, I am doing great. If you are doing great, really great, then you need to say I am doing superb. It's fine. It's nothing wrong to say that I am doing extraordinarily well. I am doing just fine. I am okay. I am bad. I am sick. It depends on the context. As I told you, you cannot go to somebody and just tell, I have so much of problems in my life. Why do you ask me how I am? This is vernacular. This is local language. Because just because you are going so much of hardship in today's time, we are going through corona crisis. And when somebody asks you, how are you doing today? Oh bro, we are stuck in corona situation. We are stuck in our homes. We cannot come out of our home and we are wondering what would happen to us, and I'm expecting corona to be attacked very soon. You cannot say that. Depending on with whom you are talking, you should say, though you are not doing well, just pretend you are doing well. I'm doing fine for now. So far so good. Even that is fine. Okay. Fine. Thank you. He says thank you. Why thank you? Because Mr. Raju is concerned about Omkar. How is he is inquiring about Omkar? I am writing a book. Now, why do you think Omkar wants to buy a computer here? Maybe he has it or maybe he doesn't have. I am writing a book, but my computer is giving me a lot of problem. He already owns one, and he says, my computer is giving me a lot of problem. Now, I want to buy a new PC, personal computer, new PC. Could you help me? This is how you request. Let's imagine you don't have, or I don't have any idea about the computer. I am not a computer geek. I am not any software engineer. I'm just a normal teacher. I have no idea how to use computer or how to use the smart board. Let us say I don't know how to use the smart board. For the very first day I came here, I didn't know. Let us assume I didn't know about the smart board. And just because I don't know, I cannot just go and say, come here, come and teach me how to use it. Even though I am talking to a technician, I cannot just, even though I am a teacher, even though I am a bit superior to him, I cannot use this. Hey, you better come and teach me because I am the teacher here. And I have a level to maintain. You cannot do that. You need to be very polite. You need to go to him. I went to him and asked, could you please teach me how to use the smart board? Because I didn't know. I was not aware. Use these words. Could you please teach me? Kindly teach me how to use the smart board. I don't know. I have no idea about the smart board at all. Kindly help me. So these words will play a key role when you build a conversation, and that gives the other listener a very good impression about your vocabulary or about your good image. It gives a very good image about the listener. Sharing information. What is he doing here? Sharing information or problem or complaint. Omkar is not just giving the information, he is complaining about the old PC now. He says, my computer which I own now is very problematic. Why? Because it is too old. And I want to buy a new PC. Why? Because I am writing a book. Now, definitely I need a PC. I cannot go to cyber cafe every day and sit there and spend a lot of hours. I don't want to waste my time. I want to own a personal computer. And how will Raju respond now? Certainly, definitely. I'm going to help you out. Omkar is very polite. Just imagine if you want to seek help from others. If you go and slap their face and tell them, you are going to help me because I have given you a job. You are going to help me because I have given you life. Will you just bear him? You will just give him two back and tell, you better take help from others. Right? So that's the reason why I tell it depends on how well you build your conversation. And people, let me tell you, there are people who are very polite, and not just polite. There are people who are very tricky. While they are talking to other person, they know how well to convince the people. They know how well to convince and reach the listener. They are called marketing managers. If you know about these words, they come to doorsteps and they will market, they will brand themselves. They have come from that company, they have come from this company. This is how you, best example, LIC. There are a lot of agents. They come to you, they give a clear picture about how well you get back your money that you invest today. After you die, you are not there to enjoy the money, but still they put a word saying that your next generation will have that money. You are very well aware that you are not going to enjoy the money that you are going to invest in their market, but they convince in such a way, don't worry, that your returns will be so huge, your son or daughter will have so much of money. The words they use, if they walk up to your house and if they tell, I invest 1,000 rupees and you are going to get 1,200 rupees later, if they don't use any flowery words, if they don't try to convince you, asking you to do this, can you just think about it, they use multiple words, dialogue. These are dialogues. That's how important it is. And Raju says, certainly, which PC do you have now? He is inquiring. Now, you said there is a lot of problem with the PC you already have. And what is the configuration? He wants to know which PC do you have now. Omkar says, I have an old Pentium 4 processor. He says, old Pentium. My God, maybe it was the first computer that I've ever heard of. Old Pentium. Maybe not that. Even older than that. Now that I'm quite familiar with the computer, I can use faster system. I need faster system. And while building a conversation, you should know, when I refer to Pentium 4 processor, you need to know what is this Pentium 4. It is a processor. In today's time, there is i7 6th generation, i7 7th generation. We are into i7 or i8, who knows. I can use a faster system. The latest version you use in the computer, the faster the computer works. Raju says, quite right. Okay, that's very well. Quite right. I think you should go in for Core i3. As I told you, we are talking about Core i3, Core i7. As I told, it is Core i3 is the beginning. Core i3, Core i5, i7. So that's how the computer processor works, and that's how they update every time. Now let us see how the conversation moves on. Omkar says, what technical specifications should I look for? He is inquiring again, what technical specifications? What is the minimum configuration? We call it configuration for the computer. What is the minimum configuration I need to have if my PC should work faster? Now what is he doing here? He is seeking information. Raju says, well, you don't have to invest much. You don't have to have a supercomputer just because you want to work on a computer which works faster. He says, just 500 GB hard disk, where this is a 500 GB hard disk in a sense where you'll be saving your personal files. Hard disk drive and 2 GB RAM, which will help the computer to process or to access the computer files very fast. Depending on the RAM, the computer works faster. I suppose that is enough. He says, well, a 500 GB hard disk drive and 2 GB RAM, I suppose. That should be more than enough for you. He says, that is more than enough for you. That's enough. And what did he give now? He gave the information. For what information? Omkar asked. And Omkar says, thank you. See you tomorrow. He says he needs to thank. He cannot just be, okay, chalega. He cannot say that. He needs to be very formal. And he says, thank you. See you tomorrow. That's how he says goodbye. He bids goodbye saying, thank you and see you tomorrow. Now let us see exercise 1. I hope you got a rough idea how to build a conversation. And this is one such example that I have taken from the workbook, and let's solve it. Complete the following dialogues. This is the dialogue between a teacher and a student. Now what is the dialogue? Teacher, you are late to class, Pradeep. What is teacher doing here? Now do you think that she is appreciating Pradeep? Oh Pradeep, you came late to the class? No issues, you can walk in. I'm very happy to have the latecomers. Is it so? We don't say that. We always complain, right? When you come late, we always have a tendency. You came late today, I'm gonna fry you up. Exact situation here. And what are we going to do? What did we do? And what is the teacher doing here? The teacher is blaming and complaining. She's complaining about Pradeep, and we don't have a tendency to complain unnecessarily. We will have a strong reason always to complain against our student, but not every time. Now we have a soft heart too. And Pradeep says, and now Pradeep, and I've seen a lot of teachers just bombarding at their students inside the classroom in front of all the students sitting in the classroom, and they will be like, this Pradeep or this fellow should undergo such situation. He had a lot of ego. He had horns and tail. Let his ego come down. And Pradeep, just because he is humiliated, he cannot just say, I don't want to sit in your class, I will just walk away. Even if this has happened in your real life while writing in your examination, or since you have already written, but still while you are building your conversation, when you get an opportunity to write this conversation or dialogues, you need to pretend that teacher was kind enough to you. Don't forget that. And you should write. How will Pradeep respond now? Pradeep says, Madam. And he says, Madam, I am sorry. You cannot just be very rude to your teacher just because you don't like the teacher. You need to be very sorry there because it is your mistake. And he says, Madam, I am sorry. This is simple. As I told you, I am using simple words. You can improvise your own version of answer. Don't forget that. And there's a full stop here. I dash the bus. Now, why do you think Pradeep has come late to the classroom? Because I missed the bus. And moreover, the next bus came late or arrived late. So, what is he doing now? What is Pradeep doing here? Pradeep is apologizing. He is being very sorry. You need to be very sorry when you are wrong. Whether you like the teacher or whether you like somebody, it could be anybody. Even if you don't like somebody or anybody, be polite. Say sorry. Sorry just doesn't mean that you are wrong, even when the other person is wrong. And when you are right, even when you are right, say sorry. That will solve problem very easily. I'm not saying that you should give up your self-ego, you should give up your attitude, you give up your identity and be sorry even when you are right multiple times and even the other person is wrong multiple times. I'm not saying that. You can try being sorry 1 or 2 times. Try to avoid further problems by being sorry. I can just give you a simple example. Imagine you're driving your vehicle and somebody commits a mistake. The other commuter commits a mistake. Okay, just give him a smile. You need not use the word sorry here. Just say, okay, even if it is his mistake, maybe he was driving his vehicle using his cell phone and he was about to come and collide with you. It's fine. Just say, okay, be careful. Give him a smile. That avoids problem. And have you seen most of the people doing this? Have you seen most of the people having this attitude? They don't. The moment they see this horrible situation and the moment they face this situation, they will just get down from the vehicle and they will just hold the lapels, the collars, and they'll start doing 1, 2 buckle mishu, and there will be like huge traffic jam in the center of the road. So that's how we solve problem. I'm just giving an instance there. Now teacher says, in that case, you should suggestion. What do you think the teacher would suggest? In that case, you should come to the bus stop early, or in that case, you should be early to the bus stop. Why? Because you have missed the bus. In that case, you should be early to the stop. Correct? Why did you miss the bus now? Because you were late. It's not just because the bus didn't come, or not just because the next bus arrived late. It's just because you came late. You were a lazy boy. And Pradeep says, agreeing because it was his mistake. Pradeep, agreeing and leave taking. This is very important. He's not just saying leave taking. It is agreeing. Of course, ma'am. Or sure, ma'am. Or definitely, ma'am. Sure, of course. Indeed, I will come, ma'am. No issues. Sure, ma'am. And thank you. Sure, you can just use thank you and bye. Leave taking, sure, thank you and bye. Because it is leave taking, So that's how you build the dialogue and conversation, and it depends on with whom you are talking or to whom you are talking. You can't just use informal language depending on the people you are talking to. Be careful whether to use formal, whether to use informal. Now, in this line, in this dialogue form, in this conversation, it is purely formal. Now, let us see exercise 2, and in this dialogue writing, we are going to make use of informal. This is husband and wife conversation. Rahul and his wife Lata plan to have a holiday. They discuss the options. Let us see what it is. Rahul: Lata, my boss has accepted to sanction me 15 days of earned leave. How many days? 15 days, and moreover, all these 15 days will be paid to Rahul. And he says he's very happy. Lata, my boss has accepted me to grant 15 days earned leave. And how do you think Lata, whose wife, should respond to this communication? This is an interesting thing. While I teach this, every time my students, they come up with an option. Beautiful answers. My sweetheart, my lovely husband. Oh, is it so? They come up with lots of informal conversations just because I've told them this is informal and you can use local language or local words which are usually spoken in and around Karnataka, and that doesn't mean you can write it while you're attempting the question in your examination. You need to be informal in a polished way. A much of polished way would be better. But how do you start answering? In my previous slide, I just read out and I explained a bit because it was typed, it was given in the textbook, it is given in the workbook now. But here are the blanks. How do you solve it? The very first tip or the trick that you need to follow in your examination is that you need to read the entire conversation. Without reading the entire conversation, if you start answering the blanks, you might go wrong and you have to strike off the entire answer where the answer paper looks so ugly. Few people, they have a tendency of scribbling so that the entire answer paper will have a hole in it. Don't do it. So while answering this particular sort of questions, not just this particular questions, in simple, while answering blank answers, don't be in a hurry. Always read, not just dialogue, even though fill in the blanks using appropriate linkers and verbs and all these prepositions. Whichever blanks you fill in, don't be in a hurry. Just because you feel that the answer is right, don't start answering. Just read the entire dialogue or read the entire question or read the entire paragraph. Only then be sure that fill in the blanks, these answers will suit this blank. Be sure, 100% sure, and then answer it. Now, what is the first thing I told? Read the entire conversation. Lata, blank, we don't know what is that. Rahul says, he's suggesting. For the suggestion which was given by Rahul, Lata is disagreeing. Rahul says, giving an option. Just because his wife disagreed for the option, first option he told, he is giving an option now. He is giving second option. And Lata says, how about Australia? It will be lovely there. This is very important, the word Australia. Most of you, without reading this blanks and without reading this language function, if you start answering, let me just write that Lata, okay, my boss has accepted me to give 15 days leave, and what will be the response from Lata? Oh, it is really nice. Let us assume, orally assume, it is really nice. Oh, great, fantastic, that is superb, marvelous. And Rahul is suggesting, what will he suggest? Let us visit Bangalore for a couple of days or a week. Since I am talking in Mysore, at max, let us say this Lata and Rahul is staying in Mysore. You might think of visiting some place, nearby place, right? But this has got something to do with the answer. They are talking about international level. They are not talking about local. So if you just start writing here, I'm thinking about visiting Kodagu, Kurk. I'm thinking about visiting Mangalore, beach side. I'm thinking about visiting Chikmagalur, Western Ghats. This entire conversation collapses. There is no link. From local, you cannot straight away think about Australia. You need to think about some international place, at least national place, Delhi, maybe out of state. So that's how you can build, that's how the conversation makes sense. So let us start answering now. Lata, is it so? That is marvelous. That is very good and very kind of your boss, right? Fantastic. Let us say fantastic. or superb. Now suggesting Rahul. Now let us just say that I am going to make use of simple words here. Shall we go on a tour, on a trip, short trip, on a tour to Italy? Now Rahul is suggesting Italy, or maybe you can come up with your own answer, your own version. For that, Lata is disagreeing. She says, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She doesn't like Italy. So Rahul says, giving an option now. He again gives an option. What about, or how about, or shall we visit Canada? How about, or what about Canada? For that, Lata says, how about Australia? It will be lovely there. Lata is fond of Australia, but we don't know why. But she says, she is giving an option, and she says, it will be lovely there. But Rahul says, but you know, I am not much of a mountaineer. He says, I'm not so fond of climbing mountains. I'm not a very good mountaineer. And Lata says, you love the sea, don't you? She is saying now, oh, in that case, you like to visit Mauritius Island. Okay, Rahul says, you know, you love the sea, don't you? Absolutely. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I do love the sea. And Lata, for that, she says, why don't you call the travel agency right away? She is now saying, okay, fine, you win. You win. Let us go to some place which has lovely sea to visit. Even Australian, the Great Barrier Reef, it has sea, right? And she is just giving an option. Maybe if you don't like Australia, maybe some other country where you can go and visit the sea. For that, Lata says, why don't you call the travel agency? And Rahul says, right away. Lata says, right away. Right away? Now, here I go. Or of course, I will. Or here I go. Here I go, right away. You might be wondering, there is no greeting and no thanking and no leave taking, but this is informal. Keep this in mind. You should know formal will always have greeting and leave taking, and informal may not have greeting neither leave taking. Because this is informal conversation or dialogue. Exercise 3. So what is this? As I told you, you're not just going to have a face-to-face conversation. You can have a conversation or dialogue building while speaking over the phone too. So be careful. Nakul wants to take an appointment with a doctor. Here is a telephonic conversation. So this is a telephonic conversation. So let us read the conversation first in order to get a complete idea how to build the conversation or how to build the dialogue. Receptionist, hello, Mysuru Hospital. How may I help you? Nakul, dash, greeting and asking for an appointment. We don't know why Nakul is taking an appointment here. We are not sure whether Nakul is sick or he wants to take an appointment for some other reason. Receptionist, I am sorry. So that's the reason I keep telling you. Remember this. If according to this, you know that you want to take an appointment, Nakul wants to take an appointment with doctor. Without reading the complete dialogue, if you start answering this, you might just start writing, I am Nakul, I am sick, can I get an appointment? That is a complete, that is a basic idea you will have in your mind. Just because I told a patient and doctor, I didn't say patient, but it is Nakul and a doctor. So that is a general conception that Nakul will be sick or he is a patient and he wants to take an appointment with doctor. So without reading a conversation, the complete dialogue, if you start answering the blanks, you tend to make mistakes. I am sick, I am Nakul, hello, I am Nakul, I am sick, can I get an appointment with doctor? Finished. And you will move on to the next line. Let us see what the next line is. Receptionist, I am sorry, Dr. Trupti is on leave tomorrow. She is saying that Dr. Trupti is not available tomorrow. Nakul says, seeking information. What information is he seeking now? According to this dialogue, He might have to wait, or he might have to just go to another doctor and take an appointment. Is it so? Next, what is the dialogue? Receptionist giving information. According to this is also blank and this is also blank. Next one, Nakul, no problem, kindly fix an appointment with the doctor. Receptionist, you can come down on 10th of this month at 11 a.m. So this gives an idea that definitely that Nakul is not sick. Maybe he just wants to go and seek information from the doctor, or maybe he just wants to have a casual conversation about his health. Could it be possible? It is possible. Nakul, leave taking. Now let us go back and solve it. Receptionist, hello, Mysuru Hospital, how may I help you? Nakul, we already got an idea that he is not sick. He wants to have an appointment. So he greets saying that, good morning or hello. Can I get an appointment with Dr. Trupti? Hello or hi. Hello. Can I get an appointment, or could you fix an appointment with Dr. Trupti is also fine. I keep telling this, you need to improvise your answers. Receptionist, I am sorry, Dr. Trupti is on leave tomorrow. Tomorrow is giving an information, so you need to include tomorrow here. Can I get an appointment with Dr. Trupti tomorrow? Right? Tomorrow is must. Appointment with doc tomorrow. I'm just writing the abbreviations there. I'm sorry, Dr. Trupti is on leave tomorrow. Nakul, seeking information. When can I meet her, or when can I get an appointment with Dr. Trupti? Right? When can I meet her, or when can I get an appointment? That is how you answer. Receptionist giving information. She is not available for the next week. Maybe you have called the receptionist or the doctor the first of the month, right? The first day or the second day of the month, right? Receptionist, she is not available. She is not available for a week. If she is out of town, maybe she has gone for a conference. She is not available for a week. Could be possible. Nakul, no problem. Now he's saying, even the receptionist says that she is not available for the next week. Nakul has the patience. He is not bothered at all. No problem. Kindly fix an appointment with the doctor. I desperately want to meet her somehow. Maybe if not today, maybe tomorrow, or maybe the next week. I want to meet the doctor. Receptionist, you can come down. Now she is giving the appointment. You can come down on 10th of this month at 11 a.m. She is giving a clear appointment timings and the day, and she says that you can come back on 10th of this month at 11 a.m. Nakul, leave taking. Now he says, thank you so much. Thank you, or thank you so much. Remember, you're talking to a receptionist. You cannot say, oh, so sweet of you, thank you so much. Now, you have to be very formal. Thank you so much. So that's how you build the conversation while you're talking to the person. It could be a formal or informal. So that's it for today's session. In my next session, I'm going to discuss about note making. It is not note taking. There are two topics in your second PUC. One is note making and note taking. Note making will be asked for 4 marks in your final examination. This is very simple and very easy, but yet most of the students, they lose 1 or 2 marks or maybe even 4 marks. But I will be simplifying all these concepts, and let us meet in the next week. Until then, have a good day. Take care.